Hello everybody and welcome to Dad's Free Time Game Reviews, where I review the games that I play when no one needs me. Today's game is No More Heroes, Heroes Paradise for PlayStation 3 and made by Suda51. The reason most people purchase a Suda51 game is not surprising at all. These games ooze style. So much so that every reviewer has to point it out the very first thing they say. I'm no exception. But that's not the primary reason why I bought the game on the Wii. You see, I mostly bought the Wii so that me and my wife can play group games with our friends. But now I have this system with 3 games and it feels weird. So I went on a small side quest to find games that I would like to play on the Wii. My first choice was one of the goriest samurai badass games that I've ever seen on Nintendo. Of course. But coming back to No More Heroes after playing Xbox and PlayStation so long is awkward. The Wii's waggle controls make me feel so weird. So when I saw they made a PS3 version that will let you decide whether to use a controller or the PlayStation Move, I was pretty excited. But was it a good idea to remaster a Wii game on the PS3? Let's find out. The complete breakdown of the whole story is on the last episode of the playthrough entitled The Final Boss May Take a While. At the beginning of the game, the intro says that Travis Touchdown went out to a bar, got drunk as a skunk, and met a beautiful French-sounding blonde chick named Sylvia. He spent all his money on her, and when he realized that he didn't have any money for rent, he decided to take a job as an assassin. When he killed his first target, Sylvia showed back up saying she was part of the United Assassins Association, and that kill just made him the 11th ranked assassin. Who wants to be ranked 11 when you can be ranked number 1? So that's what Travis is doing now. I really don't like this story. It sets off my spidey sense a lot. It seems very hastily thrown together. Don't get me wrong, the game is as cool as a cat sitting in the shade sipping on iced tea, but the story makes no sense. As a matter of fact, all of the development happens at the beginning of the game and at the very last hours of the game. The game would have you believe that it is your fault that they did this and that you wouldn't care if the story is shitty anyway. You just want to see people die. For instance, at first they tell you that Travis Touchdown realizes he has no money and becomes an assassin for a job. But then later on in the intro, he just wants to be the number 1 assassin. Like literally half a minute after he said it was about money. Then, in maybe the second cutscene, Sylvia tells him she will have sex with him if he's number 1. So now that's all he cares about? It went from getting money to getting rep to getting laid. And it definitely isn't about money because he has to give up almost all of his money to fight these matches. So then it bounces back and forth between him wanting to get laid and him wanting to be the best. I get that it's not supposed to be taken so seriously, but I really think they could have put it together a little more seamlessly. Like if they could have connected the assassins to the ending somehow. Come to think of it, the whole idea of an assassination league doesn't even make sense, unless you're getting ranked on the types of assassinations you're doing. If you're being ranked on which other assassins you've killed, then I would assume that being the number 1 assassin would mean that there's only 1 assassin left because you killed all of the other assassins. So how's there a top 11? Because of the Wii, Travis Touchdown has pretty specific controls. You would button mash like Dynasty Warriors. But you have 2 stances, a high stance and a middle stance. They really have absolutely no bearing on the gameplay other than how the bad guy blocks. The bad guys have the ability to block high and low, but they really don't have a counter move, so if you're striking a bad guy and you see that your shots are being blocked, Then either push the other button or change the Wiimote's position, and you'll destroy that guy. Once you have destroyed the guy enough, you get button prompts to do a finishing move, which consists of you cutting the guy in half and either telling him that they're weak or what a pain. If you cut them in half through the waist, they will scream about their spleen. If you cut them in half the long way, they will say, I don't feel shit. And that's it. Sometimes your swords will clash, and then you'll have to rotate a button to break the clash, and then you will slice the guy in half. Sometimes you will make the guy go dizzy, and you will have a chance to body slam them. I feel like the body slam should be ending moves, but they're sometimes not. They just seem to be there to spice up otherwise repetitive sword swinging. As you go through the game, you will pick up notes from your teacher that will teach you new wrestling moves. All of the moves are disappointingly very similar. You either suplex him, or you suplex him holding one leg, or you suplex him sideways, but it's pretty much the same motion. There is also a move called the Shadow Step. You have to push the block button right when your opponent strikes. Then you have to push Travis in the direction that matches the opponent's blind side. So basically, if he's left-handed and leads with his left shoulder in his stance, then you can only shadow step towards his left. Once you do that, he will have no idea where you went to, and then you can light him up for extra combos. Once I figured out how to do that effectively, the whole game is actually a lot easier than I thought. A problem I have with the fighting in general is that it's so damn repetitive. There just doesn't seem to be anything that they did with the AI that will change the gameplay for you. Some guys just have swords, and then some guys have beam katanas, and the beam katana guys are tough because they block more. And sometimes you get caught in a very small area, and it's harder to fight in small areas. I also figured out that the bad guys only activate when you're a certain distance from them, meaning that if there is a group of guys that you had a problem dealing with, you can take them on one at a time by inching towards the group until one of them gets activated, and then running backwards. The other guys will just sit there. That exploit will break the difficulty in any stage. I found that with the controller sometimes, Travis Touchdown was a little confused about where to be. Like the stances would start glitching and he would run funny or something. And the ease of using the controller actually made the game less challenging, and I wish that I could go back to the Wii. The stages were actually pretty boring. Santa Destroy is a very flat, angular place. It was almost like being in a dungeon crawler. There was one stage in which you had to run the entirety of a tunnel, and that took a really long time, to the point where I started questioning my existence on this planet. I mean, it was so long that I started to reach for the masking tape so that I can fix my controller in the upward moving position to go and get some coffee. And then after I make the coffee, I could come back and Travis Touchdown would still be running forward. It was the dumbest shit ever, and I don't care what philosophy they had for trying to make that shit make sense, but they fucking took all the fun out of the game for that moment in time. But that wasn't the only time that happened. In order for Travis Touchdown to fight in the fights, he would need to make money, which was the reason why he became an assassin in the first place. But apparently that's not good enough, because in order to be an assassin, you have to pay a lot of money as well. Fortunately, Santa Destroy has a shitload of odd jobs that nobody will do because the city is a fucking ghost town. As you get good at the jobs, that includes mowing lawns, gathering coconuts, cleaning graffiti, capturing scorpions, putting gas in cars, and picking up trash, you earn privilege to make more money so you can do the same damn thing. There are also assassination missions, which are more of the same boring, repetitive fighting stages, but on a smaller scale. My spleen! I personally could not stand doing these mediocre jobs, so I worked my way up the assassination missions until I unlocked one that was really close to the headquarters. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Every time you start a job, you have to go to the job headquarters and accept the job. Then you have to go to the actual job and talk to the person there, do the job, and then head back to the headquarters to start a job again. As a matter of fact, the whole existence of Santa Destroy was laid out just so that it can extend the time it takes for you to play this game. You have a motorcycle, but driving the motorcycle isn't fun. The driving motorcycle song is unremarkable and will put you to sleep as well. They make you take unnecessary stops and extend your driving time. They gave you nothing to do in the entirety of the map other than hitting trash cans to get extra clothes that you can wear and collecting dodgeballs that are called Lovikov balls. Otherwise, you are traveling in a very barren wasteland of a city to go to different places to complete objectives. Like Grand Theft Auto without the Grand Theft Auto, or the people, or the police, or the ability to teleport using taxis. What I'm saying here is that the map in this game can get fucked. Anyway, as you progress through the game, you will get upgrades for your beam katana, and you will have to go to the Bayonetta-looking chick with the big breasts, whom I might add is worth more of my time than Sylvia, and buy more upgrades. The aforementioned Lovikov balls you collect, you give to a dude named Lovikov, who apparently is a really skilled drunken fighter, and he will teach you the techniques in exchange for these dodgeballs. Yeah, sure. Every sword upgrade changes the way you swing your sword and the stamina of the batteries. Batteries which you charge by making a jerk-off motion. It's only funny for the first time, then it's really annoying. One more thing. If you beat the game on any mode, you get to keep the money and all your upgrades at the end of the game. You can't upgrade anymore unless you missed an upgrade the first time through. But at least you get to play the game straight through without any boring lawn mowing or mundane tasks. You do still have to drive through Santa Destroy to get to the bad guys. And you still have to load the money for the matches into the one bank teller Santa Destroy has. So, that's still a pain in the ass.
Last night at the deathmatch bar. Man, she smelled good. So being the gentleman I am, I bought her a drink. Anywho, I decided to get a job. The gig? Assassinate the drifter. So I went where I was supposed to and waited for the guy to show up.
The music is just a bunch of techno variations of the main song. You know, like they do with the role-playing games. But surprisingly enough, they're all tweaked so that the same melody doesn't get too boring. As a matter of fact, you'll find yourselves recognizing which mixes they are and intuitively knowing exactly where that same melody will come in. It's really weird, and I think it's something that deserves psychological study. The bosses are all pretty much beam katana sponges. They all have a specific tactic that you would want to use against them, but the way they absorb your strikes without any reaction kind of takes the fun out of fighting them. So think about it like this. Every boss has a certain amount of attacks. It's your job to memorize the attacks and come up with a counter. If you come up with enough effective counters, the boss will get dizzy and then you can body slam them. Rinse and repeat. If the game had a way to make your beam katana strikes feel a little bit more impactful, like say, actually lead up to something like weak, medium, then strong, it wouldn't be so bad because then when you hit them with the strong beam katana attack, the bosses actually would recoil for a little bit and then maybe block or counter. But since they basically have no reaction until you actually beat them, it makes them really boring. Also, a lot of them have super combo finishing moves that I think are very insulting if you spend a lot of time sponge fighting them. I mean, it's cool, but I don't want to die over it. As a matter of fact, this is where the power of the waggle controls shine in this game, because a couple of bosses you need to use the waggle controls to free yourself from their traps. However, if you're using a regular controller, it will ask you to use the joysticks, and then it will not agree with your input. For this reason alone, I will probably stay with playing the Wii version anytime I want to revisit this game. The game is based on fighting these guys. There is no other reason Travis Touchdown is on this quest, really. So for them to be more annoying than badass is a shame. So that was the review for No More Heroes, Heroes Paradise for PlayStation 3, which is just an HD remake of No More Heroes for the Wii. It's a very polarizing game. At one end of the spectrum, you have a great art style, fast-paced beam katana swordplay, an anime story arc, a cool-ass protagonist, death finishes you're not going to get in Star Wars, and let's not forget, plenty of fan service. Whoopsh. But then on the other end, you have boring-ass minigames, repetitive gameplay accentuated by the fact that all the bad guys scream the same two phrases over and over again, an open-world hub that does not need to be there whatsoever. Seriously, it's pointless. Bosses that are annoying, and an overly complicated ending that makes you say, wait, what? Fortunately, the second playthrough has a lot less grinding than the first, and that alone puts it in the positive for me. Anyway, that's all I got. If you like the artwork for the game review and want to see more, be sure to drop by my website, craftyacuity.org. If you would like to purchase some artwork or commission me to do some for you, send me an email at yusuf.crow@gmail.com. Otherwise, have a nice day. Peace.